Hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to learn some of the basics of aerodynamics, and we'll list out some of the important parts of an aircraft, so that's how we call during all of our videos. And this is a propeller powered aircraft, and in this particular video we'll go with the forces and the parts and different motions. So starting with the forces in aircraft. So if you see, aircrafts basically has all these parts, the wings and everything, and it all obviously has its own weight which always acts downwards. This point is called the center of gravity. That means that point has all the weight of this aircraft acting towards the gravitational force. This particular point is what we call as CG, and the direction in which it acts, the force acts from this point, is called as weight, and it acts downwards, vertically down towards the earth, is called weight. Next, coming to the next force, we have this wing, that is a major part where the air flows on top of the wing. This produces a small force on the wing which actually moves the aircraft up. This body of the aircraft is actually just a carriage. It just has the humans, or it can carry any other payloads. But the wing is the major part of an aircraft which produces a force upwards. This particular force, which is called as lift, is a force which acts vertically upwards. This is a propeller based aircraft, and there are different types of power sources. Like if you see a commercial aircraft, it will have its turbofans, and if you see the jet engines in other aircrafts also. And this is a major source for which the aircraft actually moves forward. This force is called as thrust, and it's always in the direction of the power source. Like in this particular model right now it is pulling, and there are some models actually pushes. So it depends on what type it is, whether it's a pulling or pushing, but the direction at which the aircraft is going to move, or where the force is produced towards, that is the direction we prefer. Now if you see in the aircraft, there are different joints where the air flows, and it actually turns, we call it as vortex and all. It actually tries to pull the aircraft back instead of going forward. So this particular force is called as drag, and it always acts towards the rear of the aircraft. So these are the four forces and the directions. Now let's go to the parts of an aircraft. You see this body over here, right? So this is called as the fuselage. This is actually a carrier. So any aircraft, it will have its own body where the payload is carried or the human is carried. So that part is called as the fuselage. Coming to the next, the wing. So as I told you, wing is the one which actually lifts the aircraft into the air. So there are different shapes and everything on which the aircraft flies, and if you see the gliders, right, they just produce lift using the wings, and they don't even have to have a power source. They can just jump from the cliff end and they keep gliding. So stabilizers, you see there are two parts. One is a vertical and the other one is a horizontal stabilizer. They have their own purpose where they produce stabilization in the particular axis. In this stabilizer, the vertical stabilizer, we have a black line here, that's the cutout. The control surface actually is supposed to move. This is a static model, so when it moves, there's a particular action which the aircraft performs. So based on the control surface used, there's a different action which the aircraft performs. So we'll be looking into those kind of details in later videos. And if you see on the wing, now we have again four cutouts, the one on the edge, one inside, and same on the other wing also. These two on the outer edge, these two actually turns opposite. That is, if this one moves down and the other opposite one moves up, that means the aircraft rolls. It has a motion of the aircraft where it actually rolls in the opposite direction. So this kind of motion is controlled by this particular control surface. And the one which is inside right now, close to the fuselage, that has a spoiler on top, and on the bottom we call it as flaps. The flaps, if they come down, it helps the aircraft to increase the lift, and when spoilers come up, that means the aircraft is supposed to be pushed towards the ground. This spoiler is actually used towards while landing the aircraft. Yeah. And now coming to the next part. So we have these two black sticks here. This is called as the struts. Some aircraft, if you see, the wings are actually too long and it cannot sustain its own weight, so it tends to bend. So struts is something which takes up that load and it's distributed onto the aircraft body. So right now it is being connected to the bottom of the fuselage here, and this is a bending point for this particular aircraft. Okay, this model I don't have a landing gear for now. So usually the wheels which comes under the aircraft, that is for landing, takeoff, and if it's landing on the water, it's called something as floats. So this is actually a major part of an aircraft based on the location of the landing gear and what type, because you see a commercial aircraft where there's one wheel in the front and the set of wheels on the back, and some aircraft will have two on the front and one in the back. So there are different configurations based on the wheel locations also. So landing gear is a major part. Now coming to the wing here, you see this wing, if it is on top it's called as high wing, if it's on mid it's a mid wing, and if it comes below the fuselage it's a low wing. This is a model where the wing is actually on the bottom. It's a seagull model, so if you see the wing, right, it's bent. So it's a low winger aircraft over here. This is just a sample model which is incomplete for now. Later we will show you how different wing position gives advantage. Now in case if the stabilizer is in front of the main wing, that's called as a canard. So again there are different configurations again based on the position. And I think major parts of the aircraft has been completed. Fuselage, the wing, the stabilizers, the landing gears. Now the major thing is we need to know about the axis, like aircraft maneuvering. Now let's consider this particular straw as an axis. So first I'll take this axis along the length of the aircraft, that is from the fuselage length, from the nose to the tail. If I place this particular axis and the aircraft is free to move along this axis, that means this is the motion I would get. Let me orient it. Yeah. So this would be the motion. This is called as roll. And now considering the second axis, it's called the lateral axis. This particular action is called as the pitch. This control surface over here, that helps for the pitching action, and these two helps for the rolling. Now for the last one, if I take the axis along the center of the aircraft and is free to move in this direction, this is called as yaw. So the axis is actually not free to move, but it is free to rotate. This motion helps us to decide the direction and how to stabilize it. So please make sure you understand all these terminologies for all upcoming videos. Thank you.